My biggest takeaway podcast.
All right, welcome, my man. The Brandon Groux here, dude. I've wanted to bring you on because you've been a pretty impactful individual inside my life, and I know that your message can help so many people. I think that are in my shoes that grew up in a way that what you teach is not regularly practiced. And I want to dive into a lot of those things, man. But first, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Mike. It's a pleasure. I love you so much and appreciate what you do, and excited to be here and just sit with you and share some space and have some good chats.
Absolutely, man. This is not the first call or podcast since I've ever brought you on. Um, at my other group that I had, you came on to some breath work and left a lot of people in tears, and people that I didn't expect to cry, which is funny because I'm always one of those people. Every time I do breath work now, my intent is to cry, which is so funny
Mm.
because we put these walls up, when we put around our emotions. And with us working together one on one about 2 years ago now, um, the intent was to just pull those down and just like not be the hard ass all the time and like just be you and be there and in that moment. And I talk about it all the time. One of the things you taught me is to be a light for other people. And I do my best to try to spread that message. I think that's one of the big things that you try to do, which also I think is why you're getting to the work you're in now. But I guess just to start off, for those that don't know, dude, what is breathwork? What is the point of a breathwork and a breathwork coach?
Yeah, breathwork is a very broad term, right? There's so many different styles and flows and practitioners when it comes to just like breathwork as a whole. And to me, breathwork is any time that you're consciously focusing on your breath, right? And that we can use it for so many different aspects of our life. We can use it when in the afternoon when we're feeling tired and we want a second cup of coffee. Instead of that, we can do 3-minute breathwork flow and gain some energy. Or when we're feeling super activated and dysregulated and overwhelmed or anxious or stressed, we can slow down the rhythm of our heartbeat. We can tap back into the parasympathetic state, that rest and digest and relax state. All through the breath. That exhale was just a little bit longer than my inhale, and I felt this calming sensation in my body. And then we can use breath to journey and to heal.
Mm.
And that is more the style that I focus on in my work, in my breakup recovery coaching program. Using this specific breath technique that has the ability to tap into areas of the body that store suppressed and repressed traumas, that store fears, anxieties, essentially anything that might be taking up space in our heart and in our mind. It's taking up space in our body that's just no longer welcomed. It's an opportunity to kind of feel some of those things and let them go. And like you said, it doesn't matter who you are, the walls you have up, what you've been through, the hard ass that you think you are. Like breathwork has the ability to kind of just like break down those barriers and break down those walls so we can start to feel into the emotional side of ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that, and it's funny you did that. You took that big exhale there, and now after working with you, the sound of you just doing that instantly just like brings me down
Mm.
because it's just like conscious thought of like that symbol is just means relax. So you hear something, it reminds you of your childhood, or it reminds you of your mother, or a tonality, right? And it puts you back in a moment. For me, that has become a place whenever I hear somebody breathe, it's like, relax.
Mm.
So it's a pretty
Beautiful.
cool thing to experience as you go through. And so we worked together, right? We talked about, the breakup recovery. When I was going through my divorce, and it was a lot going through that and all the things that essentially happened. Um, and I found it to be very, I think, eye opening going through it. I also think that maybe like breath work is not something I find that's like maybe you don't have to have it, but damn, you need it.
Mm.
Like, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of things we go through life and you don't have to do it, but you need to do it. And it's something I just didn't realize, because as a guy that grew up in Alabama, and I even told you this up front, like, my father calls this type of stuff like hippy dippy bullshit, or, tree hugging, whatever. And I just come out the other side of, like, whatever that outward looking appearance might be, I'm not necessarily happy. So I don't give a shit. Like, what do I got to do to get to the other side of this? And what does it look like when I come out, right? Because I think oftentimes in the breakup world, we ask the why questions. Why
Mm,
this and why this and why that? So one question I want you to answer for other people is, what do I do when I keep asking myself, why me?
mm. Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to like perspective shifting. Um, I think it's so easy to get trapped in this victim mentality of
Mm-hmm.
why me? Why is this happening to me? And it's always this like to me, right? Why is this happening to me? And when we can be aware of what is happening, right? Like that's the first thing, like this awareness of the emotions that are happening in the body, and take them and shift that question from why me to, um, why is this, from why me to for me, right? Like shifting that perspective of like, okay, this is happening for me for a reason. And as soon as I like just said that in my body, because I say it a lot, like, okay, yeah, this is happening for me. Now it's like, now I get to play with it. I get to navigate it. I get to want to be curious about it so that I can use it to grow from. And when you can take that perspective and shift it, this whole new world opens up, this discovery of interacting with emotions and your experiences. And when we can switch it from happening to me to happening for me, the opportunities are endless of what you can take away from it. And it's like the simplest thing of like going to work. It's like, oh man, I have to do this.
Mm,
Why do I have to do this? And when you can shift it, it's like, oh, I don't have to do this. I get to do this.
that's right.
How much more changes in your connection to it, and the way that you show up to it, the way that you show up for it, the light that you can now be for someone else as you in whatever thing you're doing. And I love that you did share that earlier about just like being the light. And um, I think that's part of the shift of the why me, right? And you can say, this is happening for me. And then now how can I take this experience and learn from it and grow from it to step back into my light and be that light for someone else. And that's
Yeah.
what it was for me with my experience with my own breakup, which was the catalyst to lead me into this space. I was in that victim state. I was so attached to the story of this person and this relationship, and
Mhm.
building a future in my head with them and what that might look like and the excitement that was behind it.
Yeah.
And I was attaching the story of, why is this happening to me? I thought I was set. I moved to this new place and this new partner and everything feels great. And when I was able to shift, this is all happening for me, and was able to slow down and start to get clearer on certain patterns of my own, and why I called in certain people or acted a certain way, and could learn from that and grow from it. And that's how I continue to help other people through their path. Like, yeah, like why this is happening for you, and what are you taking away from it?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I felt like a roundabout way to answer your question.
Something you said there that's always stuck with me was, you kind of change the perspective, and it's like, well, you're going through this so that you can be great for the next person.
Mm,
And I was like, fuck. I was like, what a powerful switch to say, this is just going to make you the better man that you need to be so that you can be the best partner for the next person.
mm,
As like, it's just a phase. This is no different than any other breakup in the past. This is just another stepping stone to where your life goes. And I find that, with every injury, with every breakup, with every hardship, with every job getting fired from, like whatever it may be, it's just the step for the next piece, because you can't go through anything without getting stronger, right?
Yeah.
That's why I
And
find
that's
it
like,
interesting to, it's like no, this isn't a bad thing, this is a good thing, because it's just setting you up for to be better at the next thing. And it's really difficult sometimes when you're in it to see the negative as the stepping stone versus like, the catalyst, or like the
yeah.
end all be all. But the truth is like, you're gonna, like, hopefully tomorrow you wake up and it's another day. So it's that you
And
can
yeah,
live in the past or you can take it and move forward.
exactly. And I think it's so easy for us to get trapped in that cycle of present into the past, or present into the worry of the future. And we get disconnected from the moment, the opportunities that we have right here, right now, to say, yes, I'm going to do the work here. And, like making a conscious choice to say, hey, like this breakup is actually going to be different from the rest. Because I remember I went through so many breakups, and it was like, I didn't learn from it. I didn't heal
Yeah.
from it. I didn't make the changes. I went from lily pad to lily pad, from relationship to relationship, without actually slowing down,
Mhm.
without actually taking responsibility for my part in the downfall of that relationship. And instead we're just like place blame on that person, or say, oh yeah, they just like weren't right for me, without having zero conscious awareness of the impact that I played in why the relationship didn't work. And it wasn't until I said, hey, this one is going to be different. This one is going to be different. And I'm going to take this conscious space. And, one of my mentors, John Kim, like he has a book called Single on Purpose. And it was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be single on purpose and take this time for me to learn and to heal and to grow, so that I can show up for the next person. So I can use this as an opportunity to be excited to be where I'm at, because I know on the other side of this is that opportunity to show up for the next person in a way that I never had before. And what a gift to give myself and the next person that comes into my life. What a gift to be able to show up in a way that is emotionally supportive, that is open and vulnerable, that is able for me to share about how I'm feeling, that is able to hold space for their emotions, something that I was never able to do. And I think that is the biggest piece of growth, when you can sit there and say, hey, like, I'm in this for a reason, and that's okay. I'm here in the shit right now, and that's okay. Because I'm going to get through it. And I know that this point right now is just that the chapter in the story that's going to be called growth. Or it could be called repeat the same mistakes. But you're the author of the book. The pen's in your hand. So what are you going to do to because the chapters, the past is already written in your story. It's part of your story. You can't change it, and that's okay. That's great. But now, like, the pen's in your hand. So be present, be in the moment, and define what the next chapter is going to look like.
How does somebody take the concept or this negative and think of it and view it as a gift?
I mean, we're so programmed, like our brain is so programmed to be stuck in and focus on the negative. It's just what we do. We have whatever, 60,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of them are negative. And like whatever it is, I forget, the 80% are the same thoughts we had from the day before.
Mm.
Right. So it's knowing that and feeling into it, and it's work. Like, this is not work. It's not easy shit to start to rewire your brain, your nervous system, your chemistry, to get out of that negative victim mentality. Right. A lot of work is the morning practice, the routines, the gratitudes. I mean, I was just having this conversation with you last week of me being off my routine and how much that has affected me. Me not waking up in the morning and sitting down and doing my breath work, and knowing that's what I need. Right? Like, this is what I teach. This is what I preach. And, I've been using excuses of traveling and this and that, of why I haven't been sitting and pausing and slowing down. And it's so easy to see how that trickles into the rest of my life.
Yeah. Look at that.
It's
Look at the
so
old
easy
the student being the teacher here.
it's so easy to see how I get lost in the negative.
Well, it's just so easy. I don't care who you are, what it is you do, right? Even yourself, somebody that like every day, everything you do is like about breath. And it's like we always put something up. I don't have time. Insert whatever freaking excuse you want, right? Doesn't matter who you are. I think it's your obligation to yourself to set those boundaries, to do those things. And as I sit here and say that as a hypocrite or somebody that hasn't practiced breath work in a minute, unless it's forced, or I say forced, where there's in a group setting where that's what we're doing, right? But to
Yep.
self implement something, I find to be some of the hardest habits to carry because there is no accountability. You are the one that's being accountable to yourself. And that's why, like, we'll go off diet because no one's watching us.
Yep.
We won't do this or that because no one's there to say, hey, why aren't you doing that? Or, what's this or what's this? Sometimes I find that, somebody comes from the fitness background, right? If you have a partner that you work out with, that is just an accountability to show up at that time every day. But if you don't, it takes self-discipline. But like, if you can do one thing by yourself, there are more things that you can do by yourself. You just don't view it that way. Whether it be getting up 30 minutes earlier and taking 20 minutes for yourself or whatever it may be, right? Like, well, I don't have time to do that. Well, did you make yourself go to the gym today? Well, yeah, of course I went to the gym. What's the difference?
Yep. And for some people, like if you know yourself and you know that like, hey, I need accountability, right? Getting clear on what you need to set yourself up for success, because it's not going to take that.
Mm, mm,
Maybe you don't need that person after you do it 20 days in a row,
yeah.
but you might for the first 20, you might for the first 30. So who do you have in your corner that you could say, hey, for the next 30 days, we're going to wake up at the same time and I'm going to record myself doing some breath work. You record yourself and then we'll send it to each other right after. And then we'll celebrate each other for getting it done. Maybe that's what you need to start this habit, because we are meant to grow in community and with support of who we have in the trenches with us.
Yeah.
So we're not meant to do this on our own. And so that's like the preaching of reaching out and asking for help. But I think society, especially for men, we're told like, you have to do this on your own. And if you don't have it figured out. Right? Like,
Yeah. The truth is, I'm not sure who has it figured out in life, right?
no, I don't have shit figured out. I don't know shit. But
Dude,
yeah, to your
you
point,
just had a community event this weekend, right?
this weekend I was in Idaho for some base jumping. And what did I do last weekend? Oh, Friday. Yes, I did. Friday, I had a breathwork workshop. I'm in my head all about like base jumping and finally getting to do it.
I
after
mean,
my
I would
injury.
be in my head about base jumping too. For those that don't know, Brandon is a madman who lives life on the edge with it's safe to say probably no regrets on it. But talk about the events in which you do hold and what is your purpose of those events?
Yeah, I think when I got into the space coaching breathwork, it was all virtual during COVID. So now I'm really getting fired up about in-person workshops. I run local workshops, breathwork here in Salt Lake City, and then I have a really close friend in LA. We run a breathwork and ice event, and again, that one is. It is all about community, right? We do breath work, we do ice, we do things that get us out of our comfort zone in support of community. And you could just see how people light up and how people grow and are pushed a little bit more past their discomfort when there is like not only a community there in support, but also people witnessing them. I could see people in the ice that maybe if they were doing it on their own, might have gotten out in 30 seconds, but instead pushed through it when they had people cheering them on, when they had people around them, when they're going 3 to 5 minutes in the ice. And then we all sit down and we have a big farm style table and 30 of us sit down and have family dinner together. So yeah, that event's super exciting. Really trying to tap more into retreats, men's retreats, getting men together and, opening up and moving through some hard things through breath work and vulnerability exercises and intimacy workshops, has been awesome, has been really filling my cup. And then, like we were talking about earlier, the Breathwork Facilitator training course as well.
Let's talk about that. What was your biggest takeaway from Friday's event? Because I know your job essentially is to teach others of what to take away. But oftentimes I find that we forget to reflect ourselves. What was your biggest takeaway from Friday?
Friday was really rewarding. There was someone there. So we rent the space, whatever. There was a yoga class before I got there, and I got there a little bit earlier to set up. There was a yoga class, so people were leaving, and I started meeting people, and I met this one woman, and I was telling her, "Oh yeah, I'm doing a little workshop right now, hour and a half long breathwork event," and she was like, "Oh, that sounds super cool," and then she left, and still set up the space, and she comes back 20 minutes later. She was like, "I just had this calling to come back, and I really appreciated your energy, and so I thought, I was meant to be here." So, led the breathwork journey, and it's really powerful for me to witness people in it and moving through it and processing emotions right before my eyes. It's very powerful. It's very healing for me, to hold that space for people. And then at the end, I always give people an opportunity to share about their journey, about what came up. And I always say, "Hey, you're always at choice. So if you don't feel called or ready, beautiful." But for some people, it helps to speak to their experience as soon as they can. And she didn't share. And I was in my head, I'm already like, "Oh man, I don't know if she had a great experience. I don't know if this was good for her to stay." And then once everyone's packing up, she comes up. She was like, "That was one of the most life-changing experience I've ever had." And she was like, you are so good at what you do, and the space that you hold." She's like, "I've never done breathwork with masculine energy, with a male facilitator." And she was like, "I've had a lot of trauma from men and this and that, and it was so healing to be in this space with you." And I realized that if I didn't have that interaction with her and kind of that affirmation, that I probably would have left that event just like, "Oh, another one, check that event off the list, and glad I got to do that." But I wouldn't have celebrated it like I did because of the way that she showed up for me in that moment. So it was really rewarding, and the biggest takeaway was, no matter what type of experience that I have and what someone shares with me about their experience, the importance of always continuing celebrating what I'm doing and being proud of what I'm doing, and not just leaving that space and be like, "Oh, like, yep, another workshop, check it off the list," and really taking some time afterwards to sit and celebrate me and celebrate my growth, celebrate my journey that has led me to get people to sign up to come to a workshop that I facilitate. How incredible is that? These people could have done a million other things that night, and they chose to pay me to come to my workshop. How fucking incredible is that? And still, I don't take the time to celebrate it sometimes.
I think
So
sometimes
such a
celebrating wins is so hard.
it can be hard, and it takes like conscious knowing the importance of it, right? And to go back to your question earlier about how we get out of the negative framing that is so programmed in our head, it starts with celebrating. It starts with finding gratitude and appreciation in all the little things that we do. Right? Anyone, if you want to shift your perspective on anything, right? Attach "I am so happy and grateful," fill in the blank. That's going to change your energetic connection to whatever that is. I'm so happy and grateful that I get to go to the gym 5 days a week. Right? On the fifth day, if you plan to go 5 days that week, and on the fifth day you're just not feeling it, that positive affirmation is going to creep in and say, "No, whoa, I'm so happy and grateful that I get to do this. Not that I have to do this, that I get to do this."
I'm healthy enough to walk in here today.
Yeah. Fuck, what a gift. I'm so happy and grateful that I get to support my clients in their growth, right? If I said that 5 times before each call, the way that I show up energetically for that client is going to be completely different than if I hadn't said that.
Sure.
Completely different.
It goes back to the same thing, and I've talked about this before. Of, I wrote an ebook a while back about some morning routine stuff, and understanding that, get to versus have to thing is like so simple. But like, I have to walk the dog, or I get to walk the dog. The dog's just as excited either way. But how do you get to see? Are you going to like be angry this dog's excited to go on a walk with you? Or are you like awesome that this dog wants to go on a walk with you?
Yeah.
And it makes it to where it's like, I was walking out and we just literally just said this before we started recording. I was walking out of Lowe's with Paula and it was raining. So I was like, I'll go get the car. She was standing there, being the gentleman I am. And I'm walking to the car and I'm getting rained on. And I'm not walking fast. I'm just soaking it in. And I'm like, man, it is so beautiful here. I mean, it's a drizzly, rainy day, but I can just see the fog rolling in. I can see the mountains in the background, or hills, whatever you want to call them here in Missouri. And I'm just like, man, life's pretty good today. And it was interesting I've had a negative thought or negative connotation of St. Louis, right? It's like, oh, that's St. Louis. I don't even live in St. Louis. I'm 40 minutes outside of it, living in the country, like literally in the woods. And it was just this thought process. And actually, it's funny because Matt Vincent and Bonnie, I was talking to them when I was in Montana at a retreat speaking together. And I was talking about it. And I was like, because they live here. And I was like, yeah, she wants to move to St. Louis. It's not Florida, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, it's just a face, dude.
Mm.
You can hate it or you can love it. It's your choice. I was like, fuck. I was like, oh, you're right. And instantly, in one sentence, in one moment, with somebody like yourself that has this thought process that nothing's negative, it just is. And you get to decide on how that plays out for you. You get to decide whether it's good, you get to decide whether it's bad. And at the end of the day, every decision and every emotion is our choice on how we want to look at it, how we want to think it, how we want to perceive it, how we want to move forward. And it's funny because you made a comment a minute ago that she said, you are great at what you do. Like, you're amazing. That woman talking about you. And it's so funny because I came into breathwork, right, at Rob Bailey's event, the first time we had met. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, right? 70 of us laying on the ground in 50-degree weather, seeing our breath in this building. And I was just going through, I think I was like a month into signing papers on the divorce. And like not in the best place mentally at all. Because like a lot of things happened to me and I was the history. But I was like really struggling with that why me shit. And she's right. Like, if you've ever met Brandon in person, which I'm assuming most of you have not, but if you get the opportunity to, I would highly suggest it, because his energy is so contagious that you cannot help but to leave different. And I think that I had one of my best phases of my life when I was in the most turmoil of my life, because you rubbed off such a energy that I was able to absorb and use. And I think a lot of that is because, our weekly calls of talking through, but like I've done therapy and I never leave therapy with a energy. It's just a conversation. And so if you've ever struggled in the past with any type of like talking's not enough for you because you're not receiving from that therapist who's just cold asking questions, I thought it was such a like like even through the phone, I was able to pull in this energy from you that allowed me to like actually leave the conversation like, man, the sun is really bright today.
Mm.
The sky is really blue today. I can hear the wind. Where you're just like very present in the moment. And so if you ever have a chance to go to any of Brandon's stuff, I highly, highly suggest it. And I promise you, I don't think anybody's ever regretted something like this, that what you do, man. Like
Thanks,
I
brother.
truly don't.
I really appreciate that.
Of
Taking
course,
that
dude.
in, receiving that love and energy. And then, yeah, just like back to you, to think where you were at, you speaking to, a month after your divorce, signing the papers, and what did you do? You said yes to yourself to choose to go to fly to Montana, to go to this event, right? Where you could have stayed trapped in this victim mode and staying inside and not doing anything for your own growth and to support you,
Yeah.
right? And what'd you do? You said yes to a life-changing event.
That winter changed my life. I went to 2 events, hired you to help me through getting through all my shit. As somebody that's got it together online, right? The business owner, life's great and dandy, whatever. We all battle it. And yeah, dude, that winter changed my life. In
It's
many
so easy to
facets.
get stuck in that victim mentality though, and not
Yeah.
make a conscious decision to change your life. To say, hey, this is my time to grow. This is my time to invest in myself. This is my time to not repeat the same mistakes. This is my time to show up differently for my community, for my partner, for me. And you did that. You made that choice to go to these events that change your life, right? So for anyone listening that is going through it, like, what are you doing to actively be the participant for yourself to grow, to make the changes, right? Are you seeking out support, right? Are you speaking about what you're struggling with? Are you open enough to say, hey, this is where I'm at and I don't want to be here anymore. What is it going to take for me to go from where I'm at and to admit where I'm at and to know that it's okay where I'm at, but it's not okay to stay in this? So what is it going to take for you to say yes to you?
What is it going to take for you to say yes to you? That's a powerful line. Talk me through whenever you feel something profound. Walk me through your deep breaths that you just did, because I noticed that you do it often.
Yeah, I think one tool, the best tool I've ever received, one of the best, from a men's group, Chris Wilson, Mike Sagoon, great guys, but they shared this thing called breath portal habits, where you attach breaths to anchors that you do every single day. So you're not creating a new habit. You're just linking breaths to things that you already do every single day, right? So different examples. If you're a coffee drinker or you drink tea, every morning you go to press the brew button, or you turn on the stove to heat some water. That's an anchor that you can now connect these breaths to. You twist the knob on the stove to heat your hot water. 3 deep breaths. Right? You have a water bottle. I'm using this one right now, but I fill this, right, I don't even know how many times, 8-10 times a day. Fill it, close the lid to it, 3 deep breaths. All right, so you're just attaching breaths to things that you already do every single day. Again, you're not creating a new habit. So what are things that you have in your life where you can start to attach these breaths to? Like, oh yeah, I do this every day, no questions asked, right? You start to integrate these into your day for a week, 2 weeks. After that, all of a sudden the body starts to crave these breaths. So you're driving down the road and you're walking down the aisle of the grocery store and you start to do it so much that the people that are around you are like, what's up with you and these breaths? And you're like, man, the body loves to breathe. We do it, all the time. And eventually these breaths become just part of your routine. Your body, your nervous system craves them so that they can be in this place of response, first react.
I think a really piece of good advice that you gave me when we were working together was sticky notes. Because oftentimes we forget and we're like, I didn't do anything today. And it's like, you forget to say you're grateful for something, just put a sticky note right on your nightstand. So that as soon as your feet hit the floor, you see it and you go, oh, okay, yeah. And you're just training yourself. And so whether it be a sticky note on the coffee pot of like, hey, as soon as you hit that coffee pot, just say 3 things that you're grateful for. I'll give you a tip and you can yes or no this. But I heard that anxiety and gratitude use the same piece of the brain. And so you cannot be grateful and have anxiety at the same time. And so whenever you actively turn on the gratitude meter, right? And I say gratitude meter, I'm essentially making that up. But whenever you activate that thought process, it's not like, okay, I'm grateful for my house, my family, my dog. Cool. You have no thought input that. You just repeat the same thing every day. But when you actively think about something you're grateful for, you're actually using and turning on that piece of the brain, which then cuts off anxiety. And so whenever you are grateful for something, don't repeat, actively think and put yourself in that moment so that it actually deregulates that anxiety and actually makes you focus on the gratitude. I tell you what, I've never said that I'm grateful for something or showed gratitude to something and not felt better after when I was actively trying to be grateful for something.
100%.
To think like, I'm grateful to have the yellow leaves in my backyard. I'm grateful for the opportunity of the dogs to run around there. I'm grateful to have this natural light coming in that I can see outside. Like those things I have to actively think about. And it's like, man, you know what? My office ain't too bad, man. Versus if I just say I'm happy for the house, food, water. It's like, yeah, but you didn't actively have to put any thought process into that.
So I want to do something with you real quick. So,
let's do it.
Yeah. So give me one thing like you are grateful for right now in this moment.
The opportunity to work from home.
Beautiful. And now say that out loud. I'm happy and grateful for the opportunity to work from home.
I'm happy and grateful for the opportunity to work from home.
And now take a deep breath. And now bask in that gratitude. And when I say bask, like really just like breathe into it and allow every single cell in your body to feel the gratitude attached to being able to work from home. And now, like, where do you feel the gratitude in your body?
My feet.
Because
I got on slippers.
Beautiful. You got on slippers. Yes, you're at home working from home in your slippers. I can only see your head. You probably got just your underwear on.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like the things that we take for granted sometimes are things that we're so grateful for. And I think this is like just a prime example. It's like, I get to set the temperature. I don't have any of the things I had when I had the warehouse, and the stresses I had with, the coffee business, and any type of business has stress, right? But yeah, I think for myself, that a lot of times it depends on the things in which I feel in different places, but a lot of times I'll feel like for myself, I have a lot of chess pieces like on the side, right? That's where I feel a lot of things, is in my core. I find that if I'm feeling strong, then it's going to be in my core too. I feel like that's one of the things that right. So I grew up with never enough childhood to where I was never good enough. Father was never satisfied, always strive for more, be the best, be the best, be the best that you can be. So confidence wasn't ever really something that resonated with me very well, which comes with being enough, and insecurities attached to that, right? And so for now, one of the most powerful things I can feel is strong, is
Mm.
enough, is confident. And I find for me, that's like, I feel unstoppable whenever I'm able to tap into that. Ed Milet, I was on stage. I was watching him give a speech, and he said that he does triggers. So if you ever seen Ed Milet, he snaps, and the reason that he snaps is that he associates snapping with good thoughts. So whenever he's in a rough moment, snaps and goes right into positive thought, good thought, good thought, good thought. And so something for myself that I picked up on that was like, how can I create a trigger that allowed me to become confident, for me to become strong? And it was one of those things where it's like, I just got to touch my ribs. And it's like, I'm now the beast. I am the guy. I'm not, a guy, I'm the guy. Right. Which puts me in that positive mindset where I'm grateful I got this and I can do anything and like bring it on type of thing. Right. So it's funny how something so simple can activate everything. And I think it's the same piece that goes to the breath. It's just it's a voluntary piece. Now we're using oxygen also to help solidify that thought process. Right. So, question for you. What is the biggest takeaway any of the clients you've worked with has given you or taught you?
Ooh, taught me.
What is the biggest takeaway you've gotten from a client?
I'm trying to think of like one specific.
Anything pop to the front of the mind?
I think what draws me so much continually to this work is like how much I get from my clients, how much I learn through our interactions and communicating and the journeys that they're on. I think a big takeaway that I see so much is like witnessing the our ability to like heal ourselves, right? So like witnessing people going through the struggles and coming out on the other side and reaffirming like our power that we have as humans to heal ourselves when we can make that a responsibility. And that's a takeaway that I get to see, and witness on the daily, which is empowering, and it keeps me striving to serve, right? Like, and when I am in that mindset, when it shifts, we were talking the other day about, wanting to just give and wanting to serve rather than creating content and getting tired from it because it's coming from a place of need. It's coming from a place of needing to attract people and trying to get clients. And when that can shift and to this place of give and growth for others and expansion and back to just like trying to be a light for other people. And I think that's I guess it's not attached to your question anymore, but yeah, that's what keeps me going and keeps me wanting to serve is seeing other people's ability to heal themselves.
I find that any coach that works in any regards your objective is to heal them of whatever pain that they're struggling with, whether it be fitness, mental, right, business. You are there just to heal. And so
And it's sorry to interrupt, but it's more for me of like, I see it in you that you know what you need, right? But I'm going to be that guiding light to help you get there, to figure it out together, to walk hand in hand. But like, I know you have it in you. I know you are the light. I know that sometimes it just takes someone else shining their light a little bit into that darkness for you to see that, hey, like I can shine too. I can be that light. I am that light. And that's what I see that coaching is. I think, you know, just to be that light for someone else and to walk hand in hand with them through the darkness, and to know that, hey, like you have it in you, and you have the ability to heal yourself. I'm not a healer. I'm just like creating this space to facilitate some healing that you have in you. And that's all I see as my responsibility. I'm no one's healer, and I'm a facilitator of healing. I'm here to create the space for you to do your healing and your growth.
Yeah, because
And
I think you've said a very valid point there. Is that us as coaches can't actually heal anybody. We just know that you have the ability to help yourself, and I'm here to help you help yourself. I think that's a lot of power in that to the person that's going through it. You're no different than everybody else that's come before you that's healed themselves. You have what it takes. You just need guidance on how to navigate and wield that power to do so.
And that's why breathwork to me is so incredibly powerful. I'm full believer in plant medicine and their power, right? And at the end of the day, like we're ingesting medicine, and it helps us heal, process, move trauma, whatever is your intention behind it. And with a breathwork journey, right? Like you're the pilot, you're in complete control. You're the one doing the work. You're the one pushing and actively breathing through this hour-long experience where you are being that active participant in your own healing.
Yeah.
You know, and to go back to her point after breathwork and just say it, like she was singing my praises, and you know, it was like, thank you so much. I'm receiving all that love and support, but like you did the work. I didn't do anything. I just created this space and this container for you to do your own work and your own processing and your own healing. And that's what you did for yourself.
Yeah.
What a gift it is for you to give yourself that opportunity, right? You said yes to this. You came, you showed up, you did the work, you breathed through it with intention, and boom, you were able to heal and process and move some trauma.
It's interesting because, you know, with working with you and from private and group setting, you don't influence any thought processes. You just encourage thought. And what I mean by that is that you didn't say, think about this or think about that or dive into that pain or dive into this pain. You just said, feel what it is you feel. And I find that to be very interesting because it goes to what you just said, and it's kind of coming together to some degree. It's that no one reaches out to you or works with you or goes to therapy without an inclination of what it is that they have going on. No one shows up and goes, I don't know what's wrong with me. They're like, something's going on, and your job is to help them peel back those layers inside their head to really bring that piece out, right? But it's funny because, you know, I think oftentimes people's like, well, they're going to make me think about this. I'm like, they're not going to make you think about anything. You already are thinking about it. I'm just giving you permission to feel it. Which brings me to my next big piece, that something that's a new venture which you started this year is to help more people, right? So a lot of like what I do is helping coaches help other people get in shape. So it becomes a win-win across the board of help people make more money, help them change more lives. We as a whole become better, right? You are now essentially helping other people become breathwork facilitators so that they can then help other people. So now your light essentially is becoming a sun to other lights. Talk about that side of the business.
Yeah, it's been really exciting. It's been something that's new. And um, yeah, when I think about breathwork as a whole and working one on one with clients through breakup recovery, which has been great. And then, what lights me up the most is doing these group breathwork facilitations where, I get to, there's a big group, a lot of energy. And then when I think about how I can even grow that, it's not for me continuing to go out and facilitate myself because I can only be in so many places at once, but
Mhm.
it's, you know, teaching other people how to hold and create the space and share the medicine. And it's been so rewarding to see people, especially the fears that people have attached to not being enough, not being worthy of sharing this gift, not having the skills or whatever it is, whatever story they have in their head about this work, and helping people, move through those things and process them. And that's what's part of the course. It's not just like, hey, here are the tools to, here's the flow of the journey, here's the breath technique, here's the business side of it, here's how you make money. It's helping people work through and process their own fears, doubts, insecurities to be able to step into this work and to share the gift. That has been incredibly empowering and rewarding for me. And um, when I went through the different breathwork facilitator training courses, it was like, you go through them and, you know, here's the support and here's the technique, and now go like share this and serve the world. And I wanted to create something that was a community, that, it wasn't just this one-on-one 8-week course that I take people through, but it's like, no, we're also going to do bi-weekly group coaching calls with all the facilitators in the space. When you finish the program, you get to continue on with these group coaching calls, so that there is this continued support, continued community, so that as you continue to grow and have questions and expand, you're not just out there doing it on your own.
Mhm.
And that's been really special, and it's been cool to see people coming back and asking questions. And our community group is tonight, and I'm stoked for it.
Right on, man. What's been your biggest takeaway with helping others do this versus just individuals healing their own journey?
It feels really connected to you know my purpose. I think that's something that, when I've been doing my morning breathworks and meditations and um, feeling into my purpose and the gratitude attached to it, that I get to do this work, and I get to help inspire other people. And the most rewarding thing in the world is when facilitators in the course, they text me or call me and say, I just got done doing my second breathwork session for someone, and they had this and this come up, and I was able to support them, and they were crying and they were laughing, and it was so healing for me. And it's really rewarding to see um, the ripple effect that it
Mm.
has. And that is a big takeaway, that, like, I'm just grateful that I have this opportunity. Um, and I think you've seen before the business that we had, One Ether, that I
Mhm.
had with someone, and that didn't work out. And there was a lot attached to, like, that kind of failing and it not working out. And if that didn't fail, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Mhm.
And you know the thing that I try to share with the facilitators in the community, that it's like, it's okay to fail.
Mm.
It's okay, and not only okay, that you're going to learn so much more from that failure than if everything just goes great all the time, right? So, like, get out there and fail. It's
I've
going to make you
learned
grow.
so much from failing versus succeeding. Like the things that I do that I was just successful on the first go, I could care less about
Yep.
because there was no real energy and effort put into something. versus like get out and fail something like, that didn't work. But then like, I think the beauty in becoming a high achiever is doing something and it's not working, and then it works, and then the gratitude of it working is all the fun of what it is you're trying to accomplish. It's not even the destination and the result. It's that I've been on this stone grinding away for so long, and then finally it breaks through. Right. And basically that breakthrough, because there's not a breakthrough if it's easy from the jump. It's just another day. It's like, that's cool. But when you're failing and pounding your head against the wall, and all of a sudden it clicks and it goes through, and all that energy and effort, you're like, I figured it out. Like, we finally got it. And then eventually something else is going to step up and be like, well, you did figure it out. Now it's time to figure this out.
Yeah. It's like all circling back to the idea of relationships too, and them failing. Right? If we continue to fail a relationship and we don't take the time to sit and process and feel into the emotions and taking responsibility for your part in it, the next one's going to do the same. Right? It's the same thing like with business, but when we can learn from our failures and know like, hey, now the next one's going to be better. Just keep getting better.
Dude, where can we find you at on Instagram?
Instagram is Brandon.Groux, Groux is my last name. That's mostly where I'm most active with everything. The Breathwork Facilitator training community is called Aura Breathwork, AURA Breathwork. That's where I'm posting a lot of things about workshops and about the facilitator training course, and soon to launch membership platform online where I'll be facilitating breathwork in like a monthly membership community. And just continuing to share about all things relationships, and relationships not only obviously with your partner, but relationships with yourself. And I say I'm a breakup recovery coach, helping people get back on their feet after a breakup. And a lot of that, all that comes down to is, reconnecting and redeveloping the relationship with yourself so that you can.
I think that's a really good point, because sometimes the relationship you have with yourself currently is what you need to break up with.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's not somebody else that affects us. Actually, it's never somebody else that affects us. It's how they make you feel about yourself, but keyword yourself. And oftentimes I think that, and this goes for myself, is that if you're ever somebody that said, I'm my own worst critic, you need to break up with yourself. And I think that somebody like yourself can help that person in so many facets. And I think that I don't think it's an if it's needed. I just think it's a when it's needed. Because I think that everyone could benefit from working with somebody like yourself when you're good and when you're bad. Because I often find that sometimes I do breath work and I'm not necessarily in a negative space, but I come out more powerful. Right. I've gone into places to where I come out kinder, more importantly to myself. I've come out where I've been thankful for the hardships I've been through. I've come out of breath work where I am now more powerful, more confident than I've ever been. I've come out having more gratitude than I've ever had. And I've only done a handful of breathworks in comparison to somebody like yourself. And I'm sure you have stories that you can go on for days with every emotion you've ever felt, right? But I think it's something that somebody should join and take part in. And I'm actually excited about the group style because I think that's something I want to get back into.
Amazing. Yeah, and it's like you said, it's different every single time you lay down to do breath work. Different things come up, different emotions, different things from the past, different fears, insecurities, different things that you're grateful for. And
where every phase has different anxieties of different things.
Yep.
And so whether you're in a good spot, new state, old house, same routine, it doesn't matter. Every week and every phase, there's something new that knocks on your door, makes you go, do I like that?
Yeah. And yeah, it provides you with what you need, like in that moment, and for future things when we're actively putting ourselves into, breath work can be stressful for the body, right? This active breathing, keeping that rhythm, keeping that flow, it is activating your sympathetic nervous system, the same state your body was in when a past trauma occurred. So in order to heal that trauma and to move it and process it, we have to go back into that state.
Mm-hmm.
But also what it does is when we can be in that state during breath work and be calm enough through it to trust that like we're safe to be in that place, when we come out of it and then we go out throughout our day, when other stress comes that's activating to the nervous system, the body's like, oh yeah, I can do this. I've put myself consciously into these stress states before and have been okay. So now the more you do these deep breathwork journeys, the more your body goes out into the world, and anything that comes its way, it's like, oh wait, I can handle this. I can feel into this. I can process it. I'm still safe.
One last question for you. As it come to my mind here as we talked about, getting into deep breaths. What is the wildest journey with breath work that you've ever experienced?
Still the first one.
The first one.
Still the first one that I've ever done. It was without a doubt the most open and vulnerable I had been through, in the last, since 2019. I just it was 4 days after receiving the news that I lost one of my best friends in the entire world. He passed away 10 days before his 29th birthday, super unexpectedly. I was processing it in the only way I knew how at the time, which was pretty much a bottle of tequila a day to not feel. I was in Mexico for 6 weeks, and this was like the last week I had left of my trip. And so, yeah, I was at a very open, vulnerable state, and I ended up staying at this retreat center. Obviously, like the synchronicity of the universe putting me there when it did, because I was supposed to be there a month before. And there was a storm, couldn't get to this cove beach town called Yalapa in Mexico. So I got there a month later, and it was right after I received this news. And there was a Breathwork Facilitator doing a 2-week training course at this location, this retreat center. And I pretty much just told the facilitator, I was interacting with her during mealtime, told her what I was moving through and processing. And she was like, hey, you should give this a shot. I had no idea what breathwork was. I was just like, oh, you think it'll work or help? Like, let's do it. And the first half of that journey was full of so much pain and so much anger and so much guilt and sadness and just full fucking grief.
I remember.
And full-blown hysteria, tears of just rage almost. And somewhere midway through the journey, it shifted to this acceptance that he was gone and that there was nothing I could do about that. And then the second half of the journey was just flooded with memories from our past, high school, middle school. And it was just full of joy and appreciation and gratitude. And I finished that journey in hysterical laughter of tears, of just so much appreciation for having him in my life for the time that I did. And that was for sure the wildest journey, just because the roller coaster of that one. And it was the most meaningful to this day, like, because I can honestly say that I feel like in that experience, I worked through what I would consider the entire grieving process in one session. And to this day, I still feel the same way about his passing. Nothing has changed from the time that I opened my eyes again after that breath work to today. It hasn't come back of that, like that anger and that frustration that I would feel like I would have carried for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
It is all connected to gratitude and acceptance.
I love that, man. Awesome.
And again, besides for the opportunity to heal a really, painful thing that occurred and a massive trauma, it was the catalyst to me wanting to share it with the rest of the world. So that would be the wildest journey I've been on.
I appreciate you sharing that, man.
Sure,
I think mine also, I think, was the first one as well, which it's probably common for most, which if you're not excited yet, now you should be to essentially get started. But dude, I thank you so much for coming on today, man, and sharing your story and experiences, and truly, in my opinion, helping the world in a way that many aren't. So thank you.
Thanks for having me, brother. Love you.
Love you too, bud.
My biggest takeaway podcast